Quick, Titans just appeared and are destroying your town and you're stuck right in the middle of it. You need to escape, but you also have to save your girlfriend at the same time. Psych, you don't actually have a girlfriend. And these Titans are gonna rip you in two and eat you. But wait, that doesn't have to be the case, because in this video, I will teach you not only how to train to survive a Titan attack, but this will also help you transform your physique into a happier, healthier you. And as far as the girlfriend thing goes, I'm not a miracle worker, but this probably won't hurt. All right, let's dive in. My name is Devin. I'm a pro fitness trainer and a strength and conditioning coach with my master's in exercise physiology. And for those of you still watching that don't care at all about Attack on Titan, don't worry, this program is still a solid program to follow if you want more of an athletic build and more athletic abilities. Because this program isn't gonna be just your normal bodybuilding style program. This is gonna help you not only pack on muscle, but learn how to use it and give you more of an athletic quality to your physique. It's gonna help you run for longer distances. It's gonna help you run faster. It's gonna help you build that muscle, and it's gonna help you be more mobile. In fact, this is probably my most comprehensive program yet. So going back to our scenario, if Titans were to actually attack, we have to think about what would we actually need? What abilities and skills would we actually need? Well, you would definitely need to be able to run fast and run for long distances. And if you're lucky enough to join the armed forces of Eldia, you'll also need to be strong and nimble. Given this workout program is efficient and will help you reach these goals. With this training, we're gonna lift 3 days a week and perform cardio 4 days a week with some added plyometrics. And each of these training days is gonna emphasize one of these skills that we need, whether it's to run faster, run longer, to build up the legs, to have that horsepower to do that kind of running, or to have the plyometric ability to jump high, or to sprint faster, or to move boulders, or to pull something, anything like that, to make you overall more of a well-rounded athlete in general, and to help you survive this hypothetical situation with Titans. This program will help you out. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into day number 1 of 3 of our lifting program, and that is a lower body emphasis. Now for each of these days, we're only gonna choose 5 exercises because we wanna keep it efficient. And with lower body, we're gonna start with probably the most efficient lower body exercise, which is the squat. Now when you do these, I would recommend choosing a barbell. Now if you don't feel comfortable with that, you can do a goblet squat using a dumbbell or a kettlebell or something like that. Just make sure you're going all the way down and all the way back up. As you already probably know, this is a really good exercise for your glutes, your quads, a little bit in the hamstrings and calves, just a touch, and then your core as well. So this is an overall really good lower body exercise. Now up next after that, we're gonna go into RDLs. So this is the Romanian deadlift. Some people call it the stiff-legged deadlift. It's pretty much interchangeable. With these, this is gonna be really good for your posterior chain, as in the lower back, the core of the back, the glutes, and the hamstrings. Now with this, I would prefer if you use a barbell, but you can also use dumbbells as well. And if you're at home and you don't have any of that stuff, feel free to just load up a backpack and use one of those. This is also gonna help strengthen your grip. Up next, we're doing standing calf raises. The standing calf raises where your legs are straight are shown to be better for you than seated calf raises where your legs are bent. So anytime you're doing calf raises, it's probably a good idea to have your legs straight. So we're gonna do that, and I want you to go down with a full range of motion with your heels going as close to the floor as possible, and then exploding up. We wanna have some sort of explosion to that lift. Up next, we're gonna go into dumbbell Bulgarian split squats. This is gonna be a really good unilateral movement to really hit the overall thigh and the glute. And then we're gonna finish up with leg curls. So this is gonna be a great exercise to really directly hit the hamstrings. All right, so up next is day number 2 with an upper body emphasis. With this day, we're actually gonna start with a power movement. Now, I don't normally put a lot of power movements in my routines because normally we're focused on physique. But since in this routine, we're actually focused on ability and performance, I wanna start with something that's a little more explosive, and that is the push press. So this is very similar to an overhead press, except you're actually using a lot more of explosive energy. So you're using your leg drive whenever you do it. So you're still pressing overhead, but you wanna really start from the legs. You wanna start from the ground. Whereas if you're doing like a normal shoulder press or overhead press, you're just strictly pushing up with your shoulders. So this is kind of more of a full body exercise. Now, once you get done with those, we're gonna go into bent over rows. I prefer this with a barbell, and if you can do a deficit version, that's even better to get a really good stretch on the back and then a really good contraction. Now, if you've seen Attack on Titan, you know the importance of using their arms and back muscles to really do pulling motions as they use their gear and fly past Titans and across buildings and stuff like that. Up next, we have the good old-fashioned bench press. This is one of my favorite exercises, probably the best pushing exercise that there is. So I really like this exercise. It's gonna be really good for building the chest, the triceps, the front delts. So it's just a really good overall upper body push exercise. So just make sure to come all the way down slow and steady, touch the lower chest, and then burst up as fast as you can. Pretty much with all these exercises, whenever you're doing the eccentric portion, the stretching portion, we want to go slow and controlled, and then we want to explode on the concentric portion. Up next, we're going to go dumbbell curls. Now you can choose whichever variation of this you want. If you want to do a standing curl, that's great. If you want to do an incline or a line curl, that's probably even better for muscle growth. Whichever one you choose, just make sure you go all the way down, extend the arms all the way, don't use a lot of momentum to get it back up, and then curl it straight up very strictly. Really feel that in the biceps, and then go all the way back down and repeat. And then our last exercise for the upper body emphasis day, day number 2, is the decline sit-up with a full range of motion. Now, as you're doing a decline sit-up, these are already difficult, but some people experience a little bit of strain on the lower back and it just kind of feels weird. So if you put something like an ab mat, like one of those curved ones, under your back, that really helps, and it helps you extend the abs even more. Now, if you're at home doing it, you can use a pillow. If you're at the gym, they don't have an ab mat or something like that, you can even try a Bosu ball, something like that, just something that's cushioned and can go under your back, and you can kind of round over it and then crunch up all the way. That works perfectly, and that's a really good full ab exercise. All right, so that was day number 2, and before I go into day number 3, let's talk about sets and reps just a little bit. So on anything that's a strength exercise, like the first couple in the routine, like let's take squats, RDLs, bent over rows, bench, those sorts of things, I recommend keeping it in the lower range. So like maybe 3 to 4 sets of 5 to 10 reps. Anything that's more like a dumbbell curl or the sit-ups, you can probably go up just a little bit higher, maybe about 3 sets of 10 to 15 or even 20 reps. Any movement where there's power involved, usually you want to be so explosive on that you can't do a lot of reps. So we're usually going to keep that under 5. I would probably recommend something like 4 or 5 sets of about 3 to 5 reps. And don't worry, there's only 2 exercises where you really want to do that, and that's the push press and then our first exercise in day number 3. And speaking of day number 3, this is going to be a full body emphasis day. And the first exercise is that power motion, and that is a mid-thigh pull. Some people call these pulls from the thighs or pull from the hips. Just depends on where you start, but I like to call it a mid-thigh pull. If you've ever done CrossFit or weightlifting before, you've probably done this exercise. This is a great exercise for really helping on your vertical. So if you want to be able to jump higher and maybe even dunk a basketball, not only should you be squatting, but you should be doing power movements like the mid-thigh pull. While it's not a super complex movement, there's still a lot to this, and I encourage you to watch a lot of technique videos on how to do this properly. It's a great movement once you get it down. All right, so after the mid-thigh pull, or even during the mid-thigh pull, if you want to superset, I would superset it with our next exercise, which is the pull-up. I would do this as a strict pull-up where you're going all the way down, getting a really good stretch and coming all the way back up. Now, if you wanted to be a little bit more specific to like a life situation where you have to jump up on things and pull yourself up and that sort of stuff, maybe learning how to do a muscle up might be useful, but I'm not totally sure on that. I think as long as you're working on those muscles, the lats, the grip, the biceps, all that sort of stuff, I think that's really going to come in handy here. So definitely doing the pull-ups is a great option. And the great thing about that is you can just use one of those machines at the gym where it's an assisted pull-up machine, and you can actually have some counterweight to help you actually do the movement. Up next, we're going to do squats again, because squats are such a wonderful movement and such a good all-around lower body movement that I just had to put them in there. Now, if you want to make a variation of those squats, if you want to do a variation where instead of doing a barbell, you do a goblet squat this time, or a front squat or something like that, that's totally fine too. I would personally just do 2 back squats, one on day 1, one on day 3. I think that would work perfectly. Now keep in mind, I would also recommend dividing these days into like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so you have plenty of time to recover in between. But if you feel like you're doing these and your legs haven't fully recovered, maybe go to like a more moderate version of a squat, like a moderate intensity on your squat. The next exercise is the cable rows. I really like these because you can really get a good stretch and round in the back, and then a really good arch and contraction in that back. So there's a really good full range of motion there. And not only does it work your back, but of course it works your biceps as well. And then we'll finish off with dumbbell bench. That way you get a really good upper body pushing motion in as well. All right, so that's the lifting portion of the training program. Now let's actually touch on the cardio portion. Now we can do these on different days. There are 4 days of these, so you could technically be working out 7 days a week. Or you can kind of do concurrent training where you train like your lifts, then you go do cardio, or vice versa. Or you can do it on the same day, but separated by at least 6 hours or so, which is probably your best option. All right, so in a survival situation in which you're gonna have to run away from titans, you're gonna have to be able to run fast. and you're gonna have to be able to run for a long distance, right? So that's what this routine is gonna help us with. That's what we're focusing on these 4 days. And also we're gonna put a little bit of plyometrics in there. So on day 1, I want us to focus on something called VO2 max or interval training. With that, my favorite version of this is on a treadmill. You can do this outside as well. But simply what we want to start with is pick an intensity where you get up to your zone 5, which is usually around 170 beats per minute plus. So that's kind of my metric. Everyone's a little bit different. Some people are like 160 plus, 150 plus, 180, 190 plus, whatever it may be. Just figure out what your zone 5 is, and that's kind of the range we're going to be working in. And then we're going to go 3 by 3 by 3 the first week. So what that means is you're going to go, let's say you're doing an incline treadmill and you're running for an intensity, maybe it's like an incline of 2 and it's like a speed of like 6, and that gets you up to like 170 beats on your heart rate. We're gonna do that for 3 minutes on and then take 3 minutes off, and then we're gonna go 3 minutes on, 3 minutes off. We're gonna do that 3 times total. Now that's gonna be the first week, but eventually what I want you to do throughout this cycle is get up to where you're doing 4 by 4 by 4 and potentially even increasing the speed as well. I told you this is gonna be a really difficult training program, but if you can do it, props to you, because this is gonna get you in really, really good shape. So that's the interval training. And speaking of the cycle, what I mean by that is this whole training program is meant to be about 4 to 6 weeks long. Once you get done with that, take a deload week and then repeat with maybe some different exercises or something like that, just to change it up just a little bit. You can repeat and do the same thing, but your body might get a little bit used to it, but somehow we need to have some sort of variation in there. And you definitely need to make sure you have a deload by the end of this training. And another note on the cycle, start light. Start with something that you know that you can do that first week and that's not too difficult at all, like maybe like a 6 or 7 out of 10 on intensity, and then build up to like a 10 out of 10 on your peak week, and then deload. And your deload is gonna be like a 2, 3, 4, 5 at most out of 10 as far as intensity goes. All right, so day number 2 of cardio is gonna be our plyometrics day. So with this, we're gonna start with a warm up of jump ropes for 1 minute on, 1 minute off. And we're gonna do this for 6 minutes. So you're gonna have like 3 cycles on. And with all these things, make sure you're warming up properly as well. I don't really touch on the warm ups too much in here, but just make sure you feel really good and loose before doing any of these exercises. Then we're gonna go into A skips for 10 meters, and we're gonna do that 3 times. And whenever you do this, make sure you're really skipping up as hard as you can and as high as you can. After that, we're gonna go into plyo step-ups. This is gonna be 5 sets of 4 each way. Then after that, we're gonna go into box jumps, 5 sets of 4. And with these, I would choose a box that is like pretty difficult for you to jump up on. I want you to really be working on that vertical. And that's why we're only doing 4 reps, but we're doing 5 sets, so it's gonna take you a while. And then we're gonna do plyo up and overs. So you can use maybe a slightly smaller box than you did for the box jumps. And these are also gonna be 5 sets of 4 each way. And then we're gonna finish off with the jump rope again, and we're just gonna double what we did to warm up, which is 12 minutes, 1 minute on, 1 minute off. Up next is day 3, and that's the easier cardio day. This is gonna be your zone 2 work, which is about 45 minutes to 60 minutes of cardio that's not that difficult, and you can keep a conversation going. So for me personally, this is when my heart rate's around 120 to 130, and I do incline walking, like maybe a 3 speed at a 10 incline, or I might even do like a jog at like a 4 speed and like a 1 on the incline if I'm doing treadmill. You can also do this on the rowing machine. You can do it while cycling. You can do it while jogging outside or walking fast. It depends on where you're starting from. But the main point is that you go 45 minutes and that you could actually talk to someone on the phone while you're doing it. You have a conversational pace and you're not like super out of breath or anything. But you're also not as chill as like I am here talking to you like this. And what I recommend for the whole cycle is start at 45 minutes, then go to 50 minutes, then go to 55, then go to 60, like throughout the weeks. All right, so that's day 3. Day 4, our final day, is our long run. What I would say for this is it really depends on where you're starting from. If you're starting from scratch, maybe your long run looks like 1 mile. If you're an avid runner, maybe your long run looks more like 10 miles. So anywhere from about 1 to 10 is gonna be a really good starting place. And with this, I would stay around a zone 3, zone 4 kind of area. And so with this, your heart rate would be more in the 140s to the 160s at most. And what I would do is start with your base. So maybe it's 1 mile, and then maybe you add about half a mile each week from there. Or maybe you add a mile each week. It just depends on where you're starting from and then building up from there throughout the cycle. Now, I would also recommend that you have a really good nutritional program, one in which you're having the right amount of calories, and you can look that up online with a calorie calculator. How much should you be having? Now remember, those are kind of general numbers. So what I really recommend is just have a general number, test it out for a couple of weeks, see where you're at in terms of weight, if you're losing weight or if you're gaining weight. Just kind of track it and then manipulate your calories from there. But the most important thing is with those calories, make sure that you're having a good solid amount of protein. So usually for something like this, we would want 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. If you weigh 200 pounds, that would look something like having 200 grams of protein per day. So these are just general recommendations. Definitely test it out for yourself. And this is the training program. If you follow this, hopefully you'll be prepared for whenever Titans attack and you'll be able to save your hypothetical girlfriend. And if this isn't your style of training, you'd rather have a physique like Tanjiro's, check out this video right here.